It's time to make our Valentine's box of chocolates. First, I'm going to start off with this heart cookie. It's from Sweet Sugar Belle. Then I'm going to grab my red outline icing, my white outline icing, my red flood icing, and my white flood icing. I'm also going to grab my light brown icing and my dark chocolate brown icing and some pink. And don't forget your cookie scribe. All right, so we're going to start off first with our outline icing in the red. I like to do my hearts upside down. It makes it easier to go from the bottom to the top. And I'm going to flood. I'm going to take off on my icing. I'm going to touch down on the cookie. And then I'm going to follow around the hearts all the way. And I'm pulling up away from the cookie so that my icing is not right on top. Then I'm going to add an extra heart in the middle, and this will add an extra large border around my box of chocolates. Again, I'm just picking up, touching down on the cookie, and then pulling up away from the cookie until I get to the stopping point and landing. Now I'm going to take my flood icing in my red, and I'm going to flood this extra large border with my flood icing. Your flood icing is going to be like a maple syrup consistency. And you're going to flood all the way around that heart with that consistency. You want to make sure that you cover the whole area. And you will use your cookie scribe here in a minute to smooth out all of that red flood icing. You want it to be smooth. You want to be able to make sure that you pop any air bubbles that might come up and that you just smooth out that icing as best that you can, especially using that cookie scribe. Now I'm going to use my white icing. Normally I would let this red color dry for about an hour or two before I add my white to this. But for time purposes, I went ahead and added it right now. But you want to make sure you do that so that you don't have any color bleeds of your red bleeding into your white. So I'm going to add my flood icing and then take my scribe and smooth all of that out so that it is nice and smooth for my box of chocolates. I'm going to switch this out and grab a heart that's been drying for over 8 hours now. You can use your cookie scribe to make an indentation of where you want your chocolates to go, or you can use an edible marker as well. Or you could just freehand it like I did here. So I'm going to grab my light brown icing first. This is using a tip number 2.5. And I'm just using the outline icing because I'm not as worried about it being completely smooth because I'm going to add some details on top of all of my chocolates. So I didn't want to have to make outline or flood icing as well. In addition to the outline icing, I was just kind of lazy and just did the outline icing. So I just do one chocolate at a time and then smooth it out. You'll see how I do that with the other chocolates as well. Now I'm going to grab my darker, I keep wanting to call it chocolate. I'm going to grab my darker brown and make more shapes. So again, I'm just going one shape at a time so that I make sure that I have enough room to add all of my chocolates. Now, before I did this, I did do a sample cookie where I added all the chocolates. So I kind of knew what would fit and what wouldn't. So that's always a good idea, or you can use an edible marker to sketch out where you would have your chocolates go. So again, after adding these with my outline icing, I'm just smoothing it out each one. Again, I know that I'm going to add some details to the top so that it won't be trouble if it is not completely smooth. I'm going to grab my light brown again and add another circle cookie or circle chocolate. Smooth it out there with my icing. And then add a rectangle with my dark chocolate. And finally, I'm going to add with my light brown icing, I am going to make my rectangle cookie. These are some of my favorites in the box of chocolates because usually they have the caramel in with the milk chocolate. So those are my favorites. All right, I'm going to do a little shake to make sure that everything flattens out really nice and smooth. Looks like it is, and we're ready for the details. For the details, I'm going to use the same tips that I was using before, the same bags. And I'm going to start off with a white outline, and this is with a number 2 tip. So I'm just going to make some nice squiggles. You can decide to do all one color, or you can do multiple colors. I decided to do different colors with the white, pink, and brown, but it's totally up to you. So it's a very fun, creative freedom. You can even just get a box of chocolates as a sample and see what kind of designs that they have on the top of their chocolates. Now I'm going to grab my pink outline icing. I believe that this is a number 2 tip on the edge of this, and I am just adding, like I said, some extra details to these fun and festive Valentine box of chocolates. I think the favorite might be my circle chocolates with the pink, of course. Now I'm going to do the border around the edge in between the red and the white icing, and I'm piping a solid line or a dot and then pulling back on my bag. So I pipe a dot, staying in the same place, and then pull back on that dot, not squeezing. So I'm going to do that all the way around. This is a great technique to practice like on a piece of paper or wax paper, just to get the feel for how much you want to squeeze and then pull back. So again, I'm just squeezing in one single spot and then pulling back, not squeezing when I come back on the bag. So I'm just pulling back, almost pulling my tip through the end of that dot, and you're just going to follow it all the way around the heart, and that just kind of gives a nice border for your box of chocolates. And there you go, you have your festive Valentine's box of chocolates.